If you are watching this video right now, chances are you either just yawned or you are about to yawn. Go ahead, let it out, I'll wait. But if you didn't yawn, well, that might just signal something very, very disturbing about your psychological makeup. We'll get to that. I'm Amelia Speaks, and today we are diving deep into the bizarre subconscious world of yawning, because as it turns out, this annoying little reflex is actually a profound window into human psychology, evolution, and how we connect as a species. Yawns are one of the most instinctive, involuntary social cues in existence. You don't even have to see a real human do it. You can see a cartoon yawn, hear the word yawn, or just read it on a screen, and your motor cortex immediately goes into overdrive. Trying not to yawn when someone else does is like trying not to blink when someone claps in your face. In psychology, we call this social mirroring, or if you want to sound fancy at parties, echo phenomena. It's the brain's automatic copy-paste function. And we don't just do it with yawns. If you've ever been on a date where the chemistry was absolutely off the charts, you might have noticed something weird. They lean in, you lean in. They take a sip of water, you take a sip of water. They cross their legs, boom, your legs are crossed. Your nervous systems are essentially doing a synchronized tango to signal, hey, I'm safe, you're safe, we are totally in sync. So why does our brain do this? The short answer is empathy. Contagious yawning is like a social glue for humanity. Research shows a direct link between how naturally empathetic a person is and how easily they catch a yawn. It's a literal metric of how tuned in you are to the people around you. It's also deeply tied to your inner circle. You are statistically way more likely to catch a yawn from your romantic partner, your best friend, or your mom than from some random strangers sitting across from you on the subway. Your brain prioritizes the emotional signals of the people who actually matter to you. We even see this develop in real time. Toddlers don't catch yawns. Children usually don't start picking up contagious yawns until they hit about 4 or 5 years old. Why? Because that is the exact developmental milestone where kids build a theory of mind, the psychological ability to understand that other people have their own distinct feelings and internal states. If we look at the evolutionary big picture, yawning isn't just a weird quirk, it's a prehistoric survival mechanism called social synchronization. Back when we were cave dwellers, the pack needed to stay perfectly coordinated. If one person yawned, it served as a multi-tool signal for the group. It was a vigilance check. A yawn triggers a rush of blood to cool the brain and increase alertness. One person yawns to stay awake. Everyone else follows suit to keep the whole pack sharp. It also signaled a state change. It signaled, hey, it's time to wind down and go to sleep. Oh, by the way, pro tip, if you want to test if that cute guy or girl across the room is secretly staring at you, fake a massive, dramatic yawn. Check your watch. If they yawn within the next 30 seconds, congratulations, you just hacked their motor cortex and they got caught red-handed. So let's circle back to my opening threat. What happens if you are completely immune to the contagious yawn? If yawning is an instinctive function of empathy, it begs the question, what about people with personality disorders characterized by a total lack of empathy? You know, narcissists, sociopaths, and psychopaths? Well, science went there. A landmark study out of Baylor University tested individuals using the Psychopathic Personality Inventory and exposed them to clips of people yawning. The results were chillingly clear. Subjects who scored high on the cold-heartedness scale were significantly less likely to catch a yawn. Their brains simply lacked the emotional hardware required to mirror the vulnerable physical states of others. They are structurally unplugged from the pack. Now, when I first read that study, I panicked a little bit. As someone who's kinda on the spectrum, I know I don't always process social cues normally, but I definitely catch yawns. So what gives? If autism involves difficulties with traditional social empathy, shouldn't autistic people be immune to yawns too? Thankfully, science has cleared my name. It turns out the autism nuance, at least when it comes to yawning, is about perception, not a lack of empathy. The visual trigger for a contagious yawn is heavily concentrated in the eyes and upper face. Because people on the spectrum often subconsciously avoid direct eye contact during interactions, they simply don't download the visual data required to trigger the reflex. When researchers specifically prompted autistic individuals to look directly at the yawning person's eyes, their susceptibility shot right back up. So don't worry, my fellow neurodivergents, we aren't robots, we just look at the world a little differently. Okay, now for a public service announcement. Don't start stalking your roommates to see if they're secret serial killers based on a yawn check. In actual clinical settings, many perfectly healthy, empathetic adults do not catch yawns. Why? Because human biology is noisy. If you are highly caffeinated, hyper-focused, or just too stressed to notice, you might not actually catch the yawn. The humble yawn is a deeply embedded evolutionary masterpiece. We are still fundamentally social creatures, wired to relate to each other on a subconscious, primal level. The next time you're sitting in a coffee shop or a park and you find yourself letting out a massive yawn, take a look around. You might not just be tired, you might literally be riding a vast wave of empathetic behavior that is washing across the human race. So subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, and hey, if that one guy in the front row of your lecture never yawns with the rest of the class, maybe, just maybe, keep one eye open around him. See you next time.